it's Wolf, and this is Super Penguin. This is a video that I've been meaning to make for a long time and just never got around to it, and I finally figured, what better time than the present? So, this game was made by some people who had previously made a CPPS and then went on to make their own game, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit more as I play, but I just want to finally make this video, so as I said, this is Super Penguin. As you can probably tell, this game looks very similar to Club Penguin, however, it is not a Club Penguin private server. The other thing you will probably notice is that this is in Spanish. I think that this is part of the reason why I have not heard much about this on like the English speaking side of the Club Penguin fan community, but since I speak a good amount of Spanish, I figured I might as well do a video about it, and I'll try to translate stuff the best as I can as I go along. This is not like a tutorial on how to make an account or anything, but I just wanted to show this game to kind of bring it to more people's attention, because I haven't really heard anybody talk about it, at least on, like I said, like the English side of the Club Penguin fan community, and maybe if there's enough interest, maybe they could make an English version of it eventually. I don't know, but Jugar Ahora, play now. So this says Super Penguin is in alpha phase, and like I said, I don't know, like I've never taken a proficiency test. I don't know how much Spanish I actually know, so I might be translating some stuff wrong and I might not be able to translate some stuff. Just keep that in mind. I'm just going to be doing my best. Pretty much this is saying though that you might encounter errors and some other stuff that wouldn't be in the final version. I think this is saying like your help is essential to make the game the best or something along those lines. If you encounter problems or want to share your opinion, use the report error function in the navigation bar. And I think this says thank you for your patience, pretty much. Anyway, let's create Pinguino, which is create a penguin. To register for the alpha of Super Penguin, you need to start a session in Patreon. It's not necessary to have a subscription. It's totally free. So this is one thing that I'm not a huge fan of right now with Super Penguin. I wish that you had a way to just create an account without creating a Patreon account. I didn't even have a Patreon account, so I had to make a Patreon account to set up this, but I'm logging into Patreon real quick and then I'll show you guys the rest of it. But you have to have a Patreon account. You don't actually have to give them any money to play, but you have to log in with Patreon right now. So once you've logged in with Patreon, it brings you to the actual Penguin creation screen. So let's choose a color, and then if I'm thinking right, this says don't worry, you can change your color later or something like that. I think I'm going to pick this blue because that's about the color I think my penguin was on Club Penguin. Create name of penguin. I'm going to go with Pengston, like I used to on Club Penguin and most of the private servers, not all of them. As I said before, if you ever see somebody named Pengston or Wulf on a private server for Club Penguin, there's a good chance it's not me, because I know other people have used those names before too. 4 to 12 letters, numbers, or spaces. Don't use your real name. Okay, so now this asks to use a password, to create a password. So once you create your username and password, I'm pretty sure that you can log in with that rather than logging in with Patreon. So now I'm going to create my password. I will be right back. And then it also says use 10 characters, including 1 uppercase, lowercase, 1 number, and 1 special character. So after you do your username and password, it asks you to confirm your email, which is the email that you're signed up on Patreon with, and then accept the terms of use and the privacy policy. And then fill out a CAPTCHA. Select all that you can see in the sample image. What? This is asking me for rabbits, I guess? That's one of the most confusing CAPTCHAs I've ever seen. Welcome to the island, Pengston. And then I think this is saying that these are items to get you started. Okay, so Penguin's being created. Now we can actually log in on the login screen, so let me do that. Connecting to the server. I think is this hello new citizen? I'm sorry I can't meet you in person. I think it's saying I have things to take care of. Okay, honestly, I'm not entirely sure what all of this says. So, you know what? I am actually going to use Google Translate real quick just to translate this. So the first part says, "Dear new citizen," according to Google Translate, "Dear new citizen, I regret not being able to welcome you in person, but I have some matters to attend to. Your identification has been issued. You are now officially a citizen of Super Penguin Archipelago." And then Alcalde Abaddon, and then the PS here. So that message has disappeared on me. But anyway, here we are now in the Super Penguin Archipelago. So, as you can probably tell, this looks extremely similar to Club Penguin, which I think is a really good thing. Also, so something I was a little concerned about was you might notice that your penguin kind of scrolls, the screen sort of follows your penguin. And at first I wasn't really sure how I was going to feel about that, because I know Box Critters kind of tried to implement something similar, and it felt kind of weird in Box Critters, but I feel like the speed that the screen scrolls here actually works really well. So yeah, this game looks super similar to Club Penguin, and I know I haven't really gotten into it that far yet, but I really appreciate the fact that this exists, because for a long time I've been saying I didn't really understand why nobody was creating a game like this that was really, really similar to Club Penguin, but like pretty much just a different name, I guess, and like different assets. Like back when there was all the controversy about Club Penguin private servers and stuff, when Club Penguin Online got shut down initially, I had said that I didn't really get like people were still making private servers rather than making original games, so that way they wouldn't have to worry about getting sued by Disney. And this is pretty much what I was hoping people would finally make someday. So you can play Find 4. Want to play, is it 4 in a file, like 4 in a row, I guess? Waiting for another player. So there's nobody else online right now. It might just be the time of day that I'm playing. I'm not really sure like where the Spanish-speaking community of Club Penguin fans like primarily is from, so I don't know what time zone it is over there or anything. But yeah, okay, let's just explore, I guess. So there's a lot here that I'm noticing right now that is not working yet. So like this telephone, not in service. This I think is for rent or for sale. Oh, I think this was the office we were in at the beginning of the game when we got that notice that said, "Hey, you're a citizen now." That looks kind of similar to the EPF and like PSA thing that was on Club Penguin. So you can definitely tell that people who had worked on Club Penguin private servers before worked on this, because the art style here is like immaculately similar to Club Penguin in a really good way. Because that's, I kind of think, what is needed, sort of. You can also still sit. Oh, that's a damn thing. Oh, S is just sit, and your penguin, do they sit? Yeah, they sit whatever direction you're looking. So, Moda Penguina. I think, yeah, this is clothing. Hat, face, accessories, body. So as you guys can probably already hear, the audio got a little bit messed up in this video. I don't know what happened, but somehow my recording settings were screwed up where the game audio was way louder than my voice. So I'm going to record some commentary again to put over this gameplay, so that way your guys' ears are not being blown out while trying to listen to my voice but getting a ton of the game audio. Also, if you are listening really closely, you might hear what sounds like tornado sirens in the background right now. That's real. It's storming even more. I'm recording this right after I recorded the video. It's storming even more. Those tornado sirens go off pretty often, though, when we get a storm. It's not indicative of a tornado, hopefully. Anyway, so, next I showed the mall. If I'm remembering correctly, the main things that I had to talk about the mall were that one thing is that, so there's different stands that are kind of like shops and restaurants and stuff. And right now, your penguin can go into them, but there's not any mini games or anything like that, so they're there more so for like roleplay stuff. And there's also a clothing store in the mall, but the clothing store seems to have the same inventory as the clothing store that is outside of the mall. There's also escalators, but you can't walk down the up escalator or up the down escalator, which I get that it's kind of a realism thing, but at the same point it sort of slows gameplay down, especially because when your penguin gets onto the escalator, they can't move up it or down it any faster than the escalator itself is moving. And that also brought up another thing in my mind, which is that this game doesn't really seem to have anything right now that functions like the map from Club Penguin. And I was saying that I think that this game really needs that in order to allow you to teleport between areas faster, because right now it seems like you have to walk from each area. So if you're in somewhere like the arcade inside of the mall and you want to go to that mayor's office, then you've got to go from the arcade to the mall to the central plaza to the mayor's office. You can't just jump to the mayor's office. So, as I mentioned, there's an arcade. So when you walk into the arcade, you will notice that there's a TV screen with a console hooked up to it, and you may notice that the penguins in the video game that are on the TV are actually playing Card-Jitsu from Club Penguin, which is kind of cool. And there's also a Mancala board on the ground too, which that was a game from Club Penguin, and kind of a little bit of like a meme almost within the Club Penguin community in the original game. There's a handful of arcade games inside of the arcade, but most of them are currently like broken. So the only two that work are Aqua Flopper and Sled Runner. Aqua Flopper is kind of themed like Hydro Hopper from the original Club Penguin, but it actually plays like Angry Birds. And Sled Runner is almost like an 8-bit version of the sled racing game from the original Club Penguin. Both of them are a way to earn coins that you can use to spend on stuff like clothing, and also food, which is a thing that I get to later in the video. This game also features an ice pad, which I thought was going to work like a map at first, but actually it doesn't really allow you to do all that much. Right now it holds your friends list, it holds an area where you can see like Patreon rewards if you subscribe to the Patreon, and it has an area where you can enter in codes that I'm assuming are codes that like the developers would do for special events and stuff, but there's not a map on it so far as I could tell, and there's not a ton of functionality to it right now overall. Oh, here's Andy. Oh, and there's Patreon members. So these are people who must have donated to join the Patreon. Oh yeah, there's somebody named Wulf. Oh, yeah, there's the whole calorie thing too. Maybe I'm just not getting close enough to stuff to interact with it, because you have to get close to it. I'm used to on Club Penguin, the pointer would turn to the little hand when you got close to things you could interact with. But this is something that I remember seeing on like one of the advertisement videos. So this game has a kind of interesting calorie system. So if I remember right, the way it works is, so let's get a simple cookie. So I want one cookie, and now that's been added to my inventory. So now, where's my inventory? Now I can take this cookie and I can eat the cookie. And now I've gotten 50 out of 1,000 calories. So if you get to 1,000 calories, so yeah, it explains right here. So buy the food at stores, select the food in your inventory, eat the food. Different foods give you different calories. And then once you hit the sufficient calories, you get 20% extra money on mini games. So if you get 1,000 calories, you will get 20% more coins when you play mini games. So it's kind of an interesting system. I've not really seen anything like that in any other games. And then the last thing that I found, which again, the game audio is way louder than my voice, but it was a jetpack game, and pretty much it works almost like Doodle Jump, I guess, where you have to land on stuff as you go vertically, and if you miss something, then you'll fall down and you'll lose. And it seems to have more than one jetpack. It seems like you can unlock different jetpacks and stuff, and the character for it is almost like a combo of Dot and Gary, I guess, from Club Penguin. That's kind of how the design looks to me. But honestly, I had like a bunch more gameplay that I recorded, but nothing really interesting to say in any of it. Plus, like, all my voice is like overpowered by the game audio anyway. So I'm just gonna go ahead and end the video here. So thank you guys for watching this video. Check out Super Penguin if you think it looks interesting. I think it's really is kind of the closest thing to a Club Penguin fan follow-up that we've gotten that's like really close to the original game. And one thing in particular that I wanted to praise Super Penguin for doing is keeping a 2D art style like Club Penguin did. This is something that I've not really understood, that I've seen a couple of Club Penguin spiritual successors do, is go to 3D or talk about going to 3D, and I really don't understand that, because part of the appeal of the original Club Penguin, at least in my opinion, was the art style that it had, and Super Penguin replicates that pretty well. And if you make it 3D, it just doesn't work quite the same way. Also, with it being 2D and just a browser game, you don't have to download anything extra to play it, which I think is one of the big things that really helped Club Penguin when it was around. But anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching. See you in other stuff in the future, and bye-bye.